It's my life. Lazy, 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 lazy. It's my life. I got dirty, 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 dirty. It's my life.
Welcome back to Collect Them All or Die Trying, the spoiler rooms, comic cliff notes. Now, for those of you just joining, you can check out my Marvel's Dark Ages playlist with all the previous issues with links in the description. But for now, here's a recap. A being of immense power called the Unmaker awakened inside the Earth and began to destroy the planet from within. When Doctor Strange released an EMP wave to halt the Unmaker, all the electricity on the planet was wiped out. Now, 7 years later, the surviving heroes formed a new society without the use of electricity or technology until Tony Stark was abducted and taken to Apocalypse's stronghold in Europe. When Tony's allies sent Quicksilver on a recon mission, the speedster returned under the evil influence of Killgrave, the Purple Man. But before Jean Grey can free Quicksilver from the mind control of Killgrave, Johnny Storm and Okoye were killed in action by Quicksilver. Quicksilver then revealed that Apocalypse is using a group of mind-controlled heroes, including Reed Richards, to create electricity using a captive Magneto. This is all Sue needs to set a rescue mission in motion to not only get back her husband, but to set free all the mind-control heroes. Now, with the Earth plunged into darkness and heroes are vanishing in the night to be taken and twisted by Apocalypse to serve an evil older than the world, Sue now assembles a group of heroes to cross the ocean in a dark planet in a desperate attempt to rescue her friends and save a world already on its knees. Welcome back to Dark Ages. Now, this issue, we open up with the ship being docked at the shores of Wakanda, holding refugees from Europe, 112,000 refugees to be exact, with Nightcrawler being the captain of the ship, along with Madrox, Multiple Man, who seems pretty much to be the rest of the crew, accompanied by Colossus and Storm. Now, because there is no electricity or power, they have turned the fallen from the sky helicarrier back in issue 1 into a ship, which also makes sense that they can hold that many refugees, and basically use Storm to control the wind currents on the sails to get the helicarrier to move, which I can also imagine how exhausting and strenuous of a task it must be for Storm to perform on a continuous journey across the waters. And Storm has to be quite strong to pull something like this off. And as they get to the shore, Storm is greeted by King T'Challa, the Black Panther, and they share a kiss before they are interrupted by their daughter, Nkosazana. Say that 3 times real fast. Now, I love when this happens because Storm confirms what I just said by cracking sarcasm at T'Challa for sleeping in late and having Nkosazana wake him up. Like how exhausting it is to be a king. She literally just pushed a helicarrier across the sea from Portugal. It must be good to be king. And I could just hear Nkosazana in the background singing, "Oh, I just can't wait to be king. Oh, I just can't wait to be king." I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Who doesn't love that song? Anyway, then marching down from the docks is Sue Richards and Pepper Potts in a steam-powered Iron Man suit. And it's at this point where Storm asks the whereabouts of Okoye, to which T'Challa's like, "Yo, look, we gotta talk on the helicarrier," because Storm just returned from a long journey and has no clue to the chain of events that took place, leading to the deaths of both Okoye and Johnny Storm. Sue starts to fill in the Admiral, who happens to be Nick Fury, who isn't pleased or agrees to turn back around and go back to Europe. Nightcrawler agrees because he says his people's exhausted from the last journey, but Sue doesn't take no for an answer, and she says she's going with or without him and the helicarrier, and asking for a small ship. Fury still refuses, telling Sue that she could be completely defenseless out there in the open sea, especially if she runs into Namor, Raiders, or any other monsters out there on her journey or travels. But Storm lets them know that she's the queen, and their kingdom is being threatened, so they're going to be leaving within the hour. So they prepare for their voyage, say their goodbyes, and gather the team. Pepper Potts in a steam-powered Iron Man suit, Doctor Doom, X-23, Gabby, Blade, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. And that's one hell of a lineup. A starting lineup if you ask me. Then we jump below deck, where the heroes are having a discussion, and Doom is suggesting that this shouldn't be thought of just a rescue mission. Doom wants to kill Apocalypse and those loyal to him and take over Europe. And Laura, she's kind of like, okay, and who's gonna rule over Europe? And Doom, he's slightly offended because he's like, look, if I wanted to rule a kingdom, I would have taken Wakanda. It's much nicer than Europe. And he's got a strong, valid point there. But Doom is just wondering when will they start trusting him? And who can blame them? Because being a violent, murdering dictator kind of sticks in your memory and really isn't the best first impression. But in the middle of this conversation, they all hear screams coming from above, to which Peter, Jessica, and Luke Cage find out that May and Danny has snuck aboard the ship when they've been given strict instructions to stay in Wakanda. But in the process of May trying to explain why they stowed away on the ship, both May and Peter's spidey senses go off, as they see a bright light off in the distance coming across the oceans toward them in an alarming speed. Then, a tragic surprise, Fury gets impaled by what looks like a fiery harpoon and yanked right off the helicarrier. And we find out that this is done by the Ghost Raiders. Ghost Raiders are sea pirates that were stranded out to sea back when the world went dark and powerless, and they sold their souls to the devil Mephisto to burn and blaze bright for all eternity. And ever since, they have dragged thousands to their death, victims drowned and ships burned, to which Nightcrawler desperately wants to avoid the helicarrier going up in flames. And it's at this point where Colossus, Honey Badger, and Laura Kinney gear up for a fight to slow the Raiders down, and they still have 10 more miles to the Guardians of the Port, which feels like forever. Now, as the battle rages on, Sue puts up a force field to deflect bullets fired at the crew. Nightcrawler puts Madrox in charge as he makes a mad dash to retrieve Fury. And right when the Ghost Raiders are about to rain hellfire down on the Hellcarrier, Fin Fang Foom and Scott Lang coming through like Jeter in the clutch, baby, because this magical duo are the Guardians of the Port, and they put a swift end to the barrages of attacks by the Ghost Pirates. As the chaos comes to a halt and the helicarrier enters the port, Scott Lang wants to know how was their trip, and although they made it across seas once again, this was at the cost of the life of another friend. As Nightcrawler lays the body of Fury down at the port in front of Lang, they finally made it to their destination, but it cost so much, and now one more friend to avenge. And that concludes Dark Ages Part 4, and I am loving this series. And there is so much that happened in this issue alone that opened up the doors for so much more that could be done with this alternate reality. Like, man, give me a 5-issue series on the Ghost Raiders, or another 5-issue series on Fin Fang Foom and Scott Lang and how they became the Guardians of the Port. Man, I am loving this. And if you like what I'm doing here, hit the like button, and if you like the content, subscribe so I could bring you more content just like this. And I'll see you in the comments. Peace.
It's my life.